Hey folks, Kilt-Man here, Kilt-Man, at your services. How are you all? Hope you're doing very, very well. Yeah, the Colt Army, 1860. A wonderful weapon! And a weapon seen quite a lot in the film Quigley Down Under. Yes, Tom Selleck's, I would say, finest hour, really. I've reviewed this movie before, folks, so I am not going to labour the point about the movie itself. But so I'll put the link down below to my big, full, in-depth, spoiler-rife review of Simon Wincer's 1990 movie with, of course, Tom Selleck as the relocated American sharpshooter from the 1860s and 70s into the new wild frontier of the Australian Outback, where you've got Alan Rickman as a vicious British land baron who's trying to drive out the local indigenous aborigines using very, very unfair means, of course. And he's lured in the greatest sharpshooter the world's ever known, which is Matthew Quigley, because he wants him ostensibly to clear the place out of dingoes. They're those mad, crazy dogs out there. Those children snatching dogs. Yeah, right, okay. And we won't go into that particular case right now, but Matthew's a man of morals and he will not do it. He realises, no, I'm not here just to kill dingoes. You brought me in to take out native, indigenous people here. I'm not having it. So he wages a one-man war against Mr. Marsden, Elliot Marsden, Alan Rickman's character. And of course, Alan Rickman is just basically, he's a smattering of Hans Gruber there. That's a very nice gun, Mr. Quigley. He's outstanding, but he's mainly, it's the Sheriff of Nottingham for Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. And Alan Rickman, a world-class actor. God, we miss him so much. Wonderful performer. But he made his name with these arrogant, arch, cowardly, yet brazen, idiotic, buffoonish bad guys. And this Marston is exactly exemplified by that. He's a British guy who owns land in Australia. He's got an army of mainly Irish ne'er-do-wells. These are like proto-IRA, suspects here. And these are all bounty hunters and bad lads. All villains, ruffians and bullies. And of course, they don't like the American arriving in their midst, who excels with his marksmanship, because of course the film is celebrated for that Shiloh Sharp's ultra long 34-inch long barrel, that sharpshooting long range rifle. Oh my god, that is the stuff of dreams. It really is. And I've discussed it quite a lot on the previous video, so I really won't go in depth on that. Except to say that, my god, that packs a punch. A bullet, a whopping bullet that big, which is like a .45 caliber, I think 110 cartridge, and then a paper jacketed bullet to propel it absolutely way beyond the realms. Supersonic speed. The bullet hits you before you hear the sound of the gun going off. And it's just an amazing bit of kit. And anyway, I've discussed all that before, so we're not really here for that. But to pitch Tom Selleck in a semi-serious role, in fact, no, it's mostly serious role, but you've got the comic element with the fact that he's a fish out of water, but he's experienced and he knows the ropes, and he beats everybody else up. He's a master marksman. He's outstanding at what he does, but the rest of them resent him. But he meets Laura San Giancarlo, who is Crazy Cora, who she's also an emigrant from America who's arrived at the same time as him in Australia, and she's incurring the wrath of anyone around her, basically, because she's a volatile, crazy, just loon. But she mistakes Matthew Quigley for being her lost husband, Roy. And these two will have an odyssey of their own throughout the movie. Did I just say I wasn't going to talk about the movie so much? I'm just setting the scene, folks. And their final sort of capitulation towards each other, that she realises that maybe he's not Roy, he's Matthew Quigley, and he, to get out the country, because there's a bounty on his head after he wins the day and kills everybody, there's a bounty on his head. So when they're going to make the trip back to America, to San Francisco, and the Scottish guy, the ticket office, like, he sees underneath the counter, oh, he's an American, yeah, he wants to go over to America, obviously. He's got a bloody big rifle slung there. Matthew Quigley, what's your name? Laura San Giancarlo's Cora arrives in the ticket office, and the two have gone through hell and back, beaten, abused, fought, almost died, and they're still alive, they're still together, roughly. And he just says, what's your name? Because the name Matthew Quigley is going to mean, I've got a big bounty on you. And he pulls out a gun underneath the counter like that, clicks it, but Matthew hears that, but he sees crazy Cora, and he goes, my name's Roy. And it's just beautiful. It's a beautiful finale. But this is an action-packed movie which I truly, truly adore. The Displaced Western. It is a Western. It's just set in Australia. But it's a Western to all intents and purposes. Horse chases, fires in townships, lots and lots of horrible genocide and racism towards the indigenous Aborigines, akin to what Matthew Quigley hated back in America with the wiping out of the Indian nations there. And the fun and games with Alan Rickman's Marston and his various ne'er-do-wells and his crew, namely Tony Bonner as, what's his name? Mr. Dobkin, who's another Irish defo terrorist in the making, but he's great. And I love the way that every time you see Tony Bonner, he has to make a run across the frame. So their ranch, their station as they call them, way out in the outback, every single time you see Tony Bonner have to do anything as Dobkin, he will run across the rail of a wagon. Horse is not attached. He'll make a point of running and jumping over it or vaulting over it, and every single time, and he's got a little tam o' shanter on his head, and he looks great. Nice little badge in there as well. He's a great character, but by far the stars of this movie, Alan Rickman, Tom Selleck, and that fucking big rifle, and this, because Marston's character is well versed in the American West. He loves the legendary status of Dodge City, Wild Bill Hickok and all that. And he has, I believe in Samuel Colt. He changed the world. This is the gun, the 1860 Colt Army, which I have right here. This is it. This is the gun, which he uses. And he has two of them. And when they first meet, Matthew Quigley has a dinner in his ranch with his new employer. But we'll learn very quickly that, no, you and me are not going to work together. We can't do this. I'm not the man you think you hired. No. So he'll fight back. But they have this discussion. Obviously, Quigley's showing off the abilities of this fantastic long-range rifle. It's got a double trigger. It has two triggers on it. Listen to me. I just can't help but go into these things. And do you know why it's got that? The double trigger, one trigger's behind the other. So what you do is you click back the rear trigger, and what that does, it releases the pressure on the first trigger. So when you're doing one of these almost superhuman, incredible long-range shots, you haven't got to put as much pressure on that front trigger. So in other words, you're gonna hit the target. It's not gonna go to. You're not gonna pull yourself away from the target. And it's got these fantastic sights, a ladder sight at the rear, and a globe scope, sight at the end, and it just works fantastically. Massive bullets, as I say, and he doesn't know how to use these things well. In movies, you always see people hit by a big caliber round, and they get blown back through the air. In reality, it just tears, it just goes straight through you, tears your arm and shoulder right off your body, tears your head right off your shoulders and half your chest as well. That's what it will do. But Hollywood loves to show people go whoa, 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 bouncing through the air, pirouetting, and it looks great. And Selleck excels in this role. Gruff, full of cocksure charisma, a dyed-in-the-wool frontiersman, but he's got a moral code, and his hard exterior, it breaks for crazy Cora, and it's so moving. You're hearing the music now, which is what the whole point of this video was about. This music: Basil Poledouris, Conan the Barbarian, Conan the Destroyer, The Hunt for Red October, RoboCop, Starship Troopers, The Blue Lagoon. The late great Basil Poledouris. I've done many videos on him, and I did discuss his music for this movie Quigley Down Under in the main film review video, which I keep saying I'll put a link down. I always forget to put links down. I always do. You always get on to me, well, you didn't put the link, did you? Oops. I'll try to remember, because I cover everything in that. But this morning I woke up, and I don't know about you guys, you know, most of you are into your movies, otherwise you wouldn't be watching this channel, and movie scores, which I go on about all the time, and I always play them when I'm doing videos. And I woke up, and straight away Basil Poledouris' incredible, jaunty, off-kilter, ragtime band main theme was just roaring through my head. It was my joint birthday yesterday. You can see the birthday cards up here. There's the card for Mrs. Kilt-Man, because we share a birthday. Me and Mrs. Kilt-Man are born on the same damn day. And we went out yesterday and we partied. Drinks, sunshine, plenty, and a big Indian banquet. Not North American Indian, this is the other Indians. And a much great time was had. But I woke up this morning, not with a hangover, just with like this playing in my head. Now, that's an action cue. We'll come on to that. What I want to play first of all is, where are we? The main theme. Solo clarinet. This is Matthew Quigley's main theme. It's jaunty, it's excessive, it's carnival, it's ragtime. You've got flatulent brass, tubas, trumpets, but you've also got fiddles, banjos, accordions, French horn, and ding 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 ding, plinky plinky. How fucking gorgeous is that? Doesn't matter what kind of mood you're in. You could be suicidal. This will change your mood completely. And it will build and build and become expansive with a big Western theme. Poledouris worked with a large orchestra for this, so you get the breadth and the scope and the power of a large orchestra, but you've got these individual artists with the banjo, with the fiddles, with the woodwinds and that gorgeous clarinet, making little showcase moments which add so much colour and pepper it with so much character and personality. I'm not going to compete with it. I end up shouting. So gorgeous that. It's almost a march. It's clearly an anthem. Listen to this. Poledouris brings in this lovely, sentimental, lyrical element, which will come to epitomise Cora and the relationship that she has with Matthew, who resents her, but also, I won't let you get hurt by anyone else again. You're a pain in the ass. You keep calling me different names, and the tragedy of her backstory is relayed, and you'll hear it in, like, I think it's called Chorus Story. There's almost an unpar quality to it. A one-man band, big bass drum. Listen to it. It's so beautiful, isn't it? Now, what we're going to come on to, because the track I love most of all, this is a fight. When he first arrived, he ends up fighting with what turns out to be Marston's men who were meant to meet him anyway. And he bests them. That's why they don't like him. Oh, that's pure jaunty western, isn't it? Poledouris really manages to work in all these elements to create this huge canvas of very, some would say they're completely cliched. That sounds cliched because it is a western expansive theme and a little jaunty bit of woodwinds going as well. Gee heck, this is a quaint old tale, isn't it? But listen to that. A full symphonic variation on that main theme. That main theme can weave its way through so many elements: tragedy, action, jaunt, comedy, romance, elegy. It's beautiful, isn't it? That's the gift of a composer who can create such a wonderfully versatile main theme that it can permeate the entire score and yet appear in so many different types and variations and different timings and just different signatures all the way through, and it just retains that absolute beautiful quality. And listen to that now. But that main theme, it can be victorious, it can be heartbreaking. But that makes you smile. Oboe, gotta work, hasn't it? It's got that bellicose sort of like, come on now, come on, I'll tickle you under the chin, come on. Things ain't so bad after all, are they? Beautiful, isn't it? It's a gift. There's a track on this called The Gift, actually. But anyway, right, let's get on to the track that actually was in my mind when I woke up this morning was a track called The Attack, and it's where Quigley is turning the tables on Marston and his men, and he's taunting them, and he's going out to attack their station, their ranch, and take them all out. You might give them a chance, some to escape if they want to, but if you don't, come dawn, I'm killing you all, basically. And he's up in the mountains with that ultra long range friggin' Sharps rifle. It's just a truly incredible piece of kit, it really is. It's a lever breech load as well, but it's such a weapon that you even see him at one point, he's lying on his back during the sequence we're going to play, and he's pinned down, but he's already set some traps up, and he sees a rope which is part of a trap he's already used. Right, I can cause a landslide with that, and he's lying on his back. It's an almost impossible shot, but you believe he can do it, and with that rifle he brings it and hits the rope, causing a massive landslide to take out one of the goons who's after him. Okay, let's get on to that track anyway, which I believe is on this. I've got two versions of this score. This is just the normal. There it is. Put that in there. This is the original release. I've got the expanded, I think, complete score from Entrada as well. But weirdly enough, I prefer this shorter version. Sometimes I always want the extended cut. I want everything that was done. But sometimes it doesn't work as well when you play it as an album experience. Whereas this works really, really well. Anyway, so what friggin' track is it? 8. Now this just suddenly kicks in. horse chases. But what's so great about this? Pulverising powerhouse action scoring. But listen how the fiddles and the banjos and the accordions come in as well. So you're getting a folky element in this big bravura action sequence. Just listen. Sends out his men. Look, let's do the thing he doesn't expect. He's got to, because they think Matthew Quigley's got them all pinned down in the ranch. He can hit them from a mountain over there, but that rifle can propel a bullet for miles. Let's do the thing he doesn't expect. Let's ride out and surround him. So this is what's going on now. They're trying to encircle him. Can you hear the fiddle? The banjo. That's beautiful, that. It's adrenalised, but it brings a smile to your face. There's an earnest quality to it, but it's got that giddy sense of momentum with this hurdy-gurdy sort of style of banjos and fiddles and accordions. And they're tapping the banjo as well. Listen now, listen. Bass drums coming in, big percussion, softens down. Gets captured. Yeah. Dragged behind the car. Dragged behind a car. Dragged behind a horse. Where did the car come from? Oh, one just went past the front of the house there. That's why I'm thinking the cars. And they get him back. There's only a couple of Marston's men left. Marston, Tony Bonner's, Dobkin, and some other little Irish scrout, little ginger-haired dude. And they've got him, and he's been dragged behind a horse. He's been battered. And like, right, look, I want a duel with you, basically. And this is what Marston's going to do. Some people were born in the wrong century. I think I was born on the wrong continent. Because he just believes in his own legend, and he uses this. And as I said, in that discussion at the start, when they first have a lunch together, and they weigh up what each other's really interests really are, he says like, oh, I love this. This is my weapon of choice. The Army Colt 1860. You see it before you hear. Do you know this weapon? Never had much use for it. And like at the end, for the big duel at the end, the almost Sergio Leone style duel at the end, Marston saying like, no, give him his rifle. No. Put it on the floor in front of him, because he wants to have a duel with him. And like, no, on second thoughts, throw his rifle away. Go and get my second revolver. Another one of these. Put it in his belt. I seem to remember you don't know how to use one of these. Well, this could be your first lesson then, couldn't it? Because he thinks he's got him. And of course, like, Matthew Quigley, you know it, but it's great the way it's done. Just pulls out the gun. Blam, blam, blam. Takes the three of them out. But conveniently for movie-wise, Marston hasn't died. Chest wound. Bad chest wound. And he's like almost trying to reach for his gun again, like, and Matthew just walks over. He's killed the other two guys. competing again, aren't I? And he says, I said I didn't have much use for one. Didn't say I didn't know how to use one. You know, and it's just, you know, because in that scenario, and I probably said this in the previous video, they're going to give him his rifle. The fucking rifle's shit in a close range duel. He's got them triggers to contend with. You're meant to sit and wait. It's a sharp shooting rifle. You're picking off a target at a massively long range. So where's he going to use that in a duel? You know, a gunfight? It's not going to happen that way, is it? So of course you can fucking use one of these things. But it's such a great little final line. You know, said I didn't have much use for one. Didn't say I didn't know how to use one. And he's done it. But folks, Quigley Down Under and Basil Poledouris' score for it. It's a great combination. Big, expansive, jaunty, action-packed, incredibly moving at some points. Romantic, wistful, elegiac, lyrical. Everything you could want from a score. Everything you could want from a Western action movie. Albeit set in Australia. And I love the fact that even though you've got lots of horse stunts in it and lots of violence depicted against animals, seemingly, when the credits come up at the end, before any names come up, the very first thing you see on that black canvas says no animals were killed or harmed in any way during the production of this movie. That's the first thing it says. Brilliant. Love that. Right, now, we may as well do it. Let's get on to the finale. We've got time for it. And this track is just called Matthew Quigley. What happens is, like, at the end, he's killed all the bad guys, right? And the Aboriginal manservant to Marston, who actually clubbed out Quigley earlier on, comes back to him and presents him with his sharps, and then walks off and takes his clothes off, revealing all the scars of having been whipped and flogged. And off he goes. And then the pompous British bloody army, who act like police out there, and in reality they were fucking awful out there, and it's really, really tyrannical, terrible idiots. And they arrive in all their sweaty red tunics and all that, and they're going to arrest Matthew Quigley. But very quickly, our Aboriginal friend has gone off and called all his mates, who then line up across the mountains and the canyons, and just surround the place in a very mystical fashion. And like the redcoats realise, let's just forget we even came here. We saw nothing. About 10, and off they go, the arrogant posse of pussies. And so Matthew Quigley bends down to pick up his sharps, and when he looks up, all the Aborigines are gone, like, and it's a mystical moment. So you've got all this as well. And then his theme will kick back in again, and he'll leave Australia with Laura San Giancarlo's Crazy Cora. But let's get back on this. They're plucking those strings there. You know, they're not strumming, they're plucking those strings. Don't look at her. It's my card to my wife. Wonderful wife, the original Wonder Woman. Listen how this comes in. There's such a strut and a just brash. Dodge City, fucking the Outback, go wherever, the Falls Road, downtown Beirut, you know, Mogadishu, this plane, fucking do your worst, I'm coming through. And it can turn so beautiful and softer. Don't worry, we'll get a further fanfare. That's what it is. It's basically a fanfare, but one of the jauntiest. I got told the other day I've got one of the most jubilant cheese ball faces ever. Jubilant and cheese ball. I went, what? And I went, it's because my face goes like that. So when I grin, it just goes like this big fucking cheesy kick-ass grin. Don't fuck with me, because I'm just too happy. You can't put me down. They are plucking those strings. I can't play any instrument, by the way, so I know of instruments, I know how they're played, I know how they sound, I can identify instruments in an orchestra and in a soundtrack, but I can't play any of them. Oh, I've got the bongos, I can play the bongos. But most men, from an early age, learn how to play with their own bongos. Folks, I have been and always shall be Kilt-Man at your services. I've got my lovely Custer fringed buckskin jacket on with the Colonel shoulder boards on. So anyway, folks, I hope you enjoyed this little trip, a return trip to Quigley Down Under. If you've not seen the film, don't bother. I've just told you everything that happens in it. But no, it's a great movie. It's Tom Selleck's finest hour. He excels. He's a great comedy actor. He's a great serious actor. He's just a great actor, and the film does not get the recognition that it deserves. I'll put the link down below. I promise you I will, to the other big video about this movie. But this was about the music primarily. So in the meantime, and in between time, keep it kilted, keep it Celtic, and I'm going to see you out on the range.